So, you listener, I'm sure there are things in your life that are beyond your comfort zone right now. You might be thinking about changing a job. You might be deciding that you want to buy a house or move to another part of the country, and it's just pushing on your belief. And I want you to understand that it doesn't matter who you are, you will constantly be revealing new and new layers of this to challenge you to once again say, okay, Chris, do you really believe in me? Do you believe in this power? Do you believe in the creative intelligence that provides all things creative that will expand and multiply and bring forth abundance and love and joy and harmony? Do you? Good day. You're listening to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. This is Chris Miller, your host. I am thrilled to be here. This will be my last podcast for 2023. I have some great things lined up for the new year. In fact, I think I have the next 3 or 4 podcasts lined up. But I wanted to talk to you about something that I'm struggling with myself so that you would understand that it's totally natural to kind of struggle with these things. And that is the idea of belief. Belief. So first, let me tell you a little bit about, it's the holiday season. And so we see so much everywhere about the magic and gifts and believing. And as you know, I was raised Catholic and I was told certain things to believe in. And it wasn't until, gosh, in my 50s when I started really evaluating what is it that I believe in? What what source do I believe in? And that was through, and I'd love to share this, the practice of making art. And I realized that when I was making art, something magical was happening because I was learning how to let go and let something happen. Some people would say, let go, let God. But, I had some resistance with that word, God. Some of you listening might not have that resistance, but some of you might. And so I had to sit down and think, what is this that's coming through me? And I took a lot of courses and I studied with a lot of different spiritual leaders. And what I learned from myself and through their teachings is that the one thing I could grab onto, I couldn't grab onto a white man with a big beard sitting at a throne at the gates of heaven. And I couldn't gather and bite into a Santa Claus, another white man, giving out gifts if I was good and holding back if I was bad. Those things didn't rest with me. But what I did notice is that there is a power behind all things. And where I got this lesson, I'm going to share this with you in case you haven't read my book, is that power is the power of creativity. It's the power of creation. And so when I sit there and I go out, actually, when I was in Santa Fe and I started watching nature, I know that's weird. I've always been very connected to going outdoors and being in nature. Even when I was very young, I would take walks. I would play in the streams and creeks of Pennsylvania. I would do so much in nature, but it was here when I was 50 that I started looking at what is behind this? What is behind all of this nature? And it was through Dr. Petra at the Center for Spiritual Living when she pointed out this power of creativity in nature. And also when we studied Emerson and realized that he looked toward nature to inspire him. And when you look at nature, you see that there is definitely a power, and this power operates in all creatures, whether it's a tree striving to get to the top of the canopy in the forest, or whether it's an animal learning how to adapt in a new environment by flying from tree to tree, or whether it's a human learning how to make a living and get through life. We have this creative power in us that helps guide us. Yes, it does. It guides us to what I would say finding your own good, finding what is good for you, being creative. And it's always demonstrated through the act for me of creativity. And when I say creativity, people go, oh, well, I'm not creative or I'm not an artist. And that's why when I started realizing that this is a lesson for everybody, because it's not just about making art. That's right. It's not just about making art. Even though my book is called The Spiritual Artist, I want you to realize it is written for everybody because it's about the fact that we are all creating something. And I say this loud and I say this clear, whether you are creating a business or a family or you're creating a home, or you are running a business, or you are orchestrating a service drive. You are creating something that wasn't there before. And if you look at nature, you see so many different aspects of creativity. And that's where I have that kind of moment of awe when I look at nature and I see these amazing creatures and how adapted they are to their environment. Some of them have learned to rely on other animals in order to survive. Other creatures have learned to gather and store food for the winter. There's an intelligence. So I like to call it the creative intelligence. And that is kind of the word that I have sort of centered on now. There is a creative intelligence behind all things. So you can call it whatever you want. You can say there is God behind all things. I agree. You can say there's Muhammad behind all things, Buddha behind all things. And I agree, because each and every one of those is one expression of this power in action, creating an environment, creating a belief, creating all sorts of things. So when I wrote the book, I started slowly learning that this creative power, I could see it in action in nature. So I know I'm kind of going around the block here, but I want to explain to you that the challenge with this is I know that there's a creative power. And when I desire something, when I wish to create something, somehow it manifests. And you've all had this experience, right? I'm sure you have, where you start thinking, I would like to buy a new car. And suddenly you see new cars for sale everywhere. Or you decide, I would like to make a new recipe for Christmas. And you suddenly see recipes popping up everywhere. There is this creative energy around us constantly bringing to us what we ask for. It's constantly bringing to us what we ask for. And while I see it, and it has been proven to me so many times, I want to share with you that belief is something I have to practice every single day, constantly. So I want to tell you, this has been a great year because I stepped out from a very lucrative position to be an artist and to share my message through teaching and through my book. And I didn't know. I mean, I'm serious. It was very scary. I gave up a nice paying job. I had no money in the bank. Actually, I had some debt from Urban Artist Market. And I decided that it didn't matter. I was done. I'm ready to create. And I stepped out and I started doing what I wanted to do. And I had to hold a certain belief. I had to hold a belief that this is possible. And that if I did this creative intelligence would match that belief with abundance. And it has. It has. This has been a great year. If you've been following my podcast, everything has been great. I had an incredible birthday celebration where I raised money for the LGBTQ organization here in Texas. I had an art show in my house where I sold art to my neighbors and friends. I actually had a solo show at a local, at the Eisman Center, where I had this great show that was about emotions and how to deal with them. I had my very first ever spiritual artist retreat last 4 weeks ago, and it was fantastic. Everything has been perfect. And you would think, well, okay, Chris, all these wonderful things have happened. Surely your belief is done. Surely you have 100% faith and belief in all good things. And I would like to tell you, no, no. Because every time you step out and expand that world of what you are ready to believe, there is a challenge that comes to you to ask you to, do you really believe it? Do you really believe that? Do you believe that if you step out and leave your job, you will be financially abundant? And at the time, I didn't. And yet I have been. But now, even with that going on, even with that history of proof, I have decided to do a pop-up show. And it's coming up this week. And it's only a couple days. And so I don't know if I have much faith in it, but I love the people that are doing it. I love the people that are holding it. And I thought I will do it. And I committed to doing the show. So here's where my belief, where I hit that boundary, where I hit that edge of belief for me. I knew that it would be about $250 to have someone help me install the artwork. So I hired my installer, and today he came and picked up the art and he went out to install it. It's a pretty simple install, 11 paintings. I gave him a drawing and everything. I felt like it was very clear. Everything was named and numbered on the back. It was very easy install. 5 hours later, I get a yes, it's done, and an invoice for $520. I know that sounds crazy, right? I expected 250 and it's $500. I kind of went into a fear spiral. I immediately lost my belief about the success of this show for me. I immediately thought, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, is this creative intelligence able to match this? I don't know, but I didn't know I could. I didn't know. I don't know if I'll sell anything. I mean, I really don't know if a pop-up show will sell anything. And I think as artists, we do that all the time. We commit to things and we always have to step out there and try something new. And we always have to have that faith that it comes back, that belief that it will come back to us. But you know what? For some reason, the difference between $250 and $500 was just a little bit beyond what I would call my comfort zone. So, you listener, I'm sure there are things in your life that are beyond your comfort zone right now. You might be thinking about changing a job. You might be deciding that you want to buy a house or move to another part of the country, and it's just pushing on your belief. And I want you to understand that it doesn't matter who you are, you will constantly be revealing new and new layers of this to challenge you to once again say, okay, Chris, do you really believe in me? Do you believe in this power? Do you believe in the creative intelligence that provides all things creative that will expand and multiply and bring forth abundance and love and joy and harmony? Do you? So here I am. Here I am 2 days before the pop-up opens, and I am going back and I want to share this with you. What do you do when you challenge that edge of your belief? What do you do? Well, listeners, all I can do is I go back and, like I just said, I look at all the other times that I did this. I go all the way back. And I want you to go back all the way into your life. And I remember, oh my gosh, when I was in 8th grade, I didn't like the school I was going to. And I decided to step out and go to a different school. That was beyond my comfort zone. It was beyond my comfort zone of belief, beyond my comfort. But I did it. And sure enough, I loved it. I loved the new school I went to. The people were great. And then I go back and I look at other things, the times that I stepped out and met my husband and decided to risk it and commit to somebody. And I'm sure you have that same feeling. So you go back and you create a history of what you can believe. So I want you to do that right now. First, I want you to write on a piece of paper, what is challenging your belief? Here it is. It's the holidays and New Year is about to start. It's about to be 2024 and your life is constantly expanding. Are you willing to step out and challenge that belief, challenge that believability and risk it, knowing that creative intelligence will step in? So I want you to write down on a piece of paper what you want to step out for. And it's okay. Acknowledge it. I'm going to acknowledge with you. I just did. I don't believe it. It's hard for me to believe that. But that's okay. It's okay. If you beat yourself up, that's not going to do any good. So say, okay, this is a little challenging for me. So this is a little challenging. And then I want you to write down on that piece of paper underneath it, number 1 to 10, everything in your life that stretched your credibility, stretched your believability, things that happened in your life that just seemed miraculous. For example, I was 40 years old and I always wanted to have a son, and I did not see any way to adopt a child. And suddenly, through family relationships, a child opportunity came to us, a baby, and we adopted. And I look back and go, what a miracle. That is a miracle. That is your holiday miracle. And I go back and I look through all the different things in my life. And then finally I can go back and say, and I left that job last January. I left that job and it made me so sick in my stomach. I was going against that belief ceiling that I had. So I want you to write all these things out. That's all you can do is you shore up your belief. You shore it up. You support it with things in your life that back it up. And I know some of you might say, well, I've never had any experience. I've never had an experience. And I have to tell you, I know that's not true. I know that's not true because we've all had some wonderful experience in our life, whether it was, oh my gosh, do you remember that time I was looking for a new car and I didn't have a lot of money and suddenly my neighbor sold me a car for a lot less? That is how we shore up our belief. So I want you to go back and find those things. And you might have to sit quietly and do it. And then you just look at that and you go, I can do this. I believe that this creative force that's out there that operates in all things. So first, I want you to list down how it's happened in your life. And then I want you to realize and look around you and say, oh my gosh, everything that surrounds me has been propelled through a creative desire. Everything, the chair you're sitting on right now or the car that you're in was a creative vision in someone's head. Ford, for example, thought about this and everybody said, it can't be done. You can't have a motorless vehicle. And he thought, yes, I can. I'm going to visualize it and hold that belief that it is going to happen. And it did. He attracted all the things he needed to know to make it happen. That's what happens. All the things will come to play. So I want to wind this up and remind you that, yeah, I'm still shaky. And you know what? I'll have to follow up with this in a later podcast because I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know right now if I could say I believe that I'll immediately see a payback at this pop-up. But I can say this. I can take the second step is, what can you believe in? Take the second step, flip the page over and write down, what can I believe in right now? And I can believe that through connections gathered at this event, I can be financially abundant and make up that money that I spent to have this installer. So even though I'm uncomfortable, I can believe that. I can believe that, okay, I'm going to meet people. Maybe I'll get a commission work from it. Something will help bring in more abundance to me. So look at that and say, okay, and then build from it. Well, if I can believe that I will make connections, well, then maybe, and maybe not even tonight, maybe tomorrow, I'll start believing I'm going to sell something right there on that floor. Someone's going to come into that show and they're going to see one of my paintings and they're going to buy this beautiful big painting. And I'm going to immediately be reimbursed for my stepping out, my belief. As you go into this new year, I want you to make a goal of stepping out, expanding what you can believe in. Dr. Peter calls it a mental equivalent. I would say it's a vision. Start visualizing, seeing yourself in that, doing that. I can see myself. So the third step is to start seeing yourself making it happen. I'm going to visualize myself on that show floor, laughing with people. My friends are coming. They're all coming to see me. Their friends with them are coming. And one of their friends that's coming with them, oh my God, they're going to see my work and they're going to want it. It's going to be exactly what they want for their new house. And they're going to buy that painting. I can believe that. I can believe that. So this is how belief works. And I think that's really what the holiday season, whether you are celebrating Hanukkah or the holidays, the Christmas holiday, it's about belief. Belief and having that belief and honoring that belief and taking time to just see it gestate and happen. It's there. That creative intelligence is always working. So we're going to go back and list all the ways that it's happened before in the past, right? Then you're going to go back and find the littlest thing, the closest thing that you can believe in. And then you're going to start stretching that belief and start visualizing it, seeing it in your mind's eye. Okay, I can see that I could be living in another state. I see me in an apartment in this other state where I always wanted to live. And there's a lake right outside the window. And that's always where I wanted to live. I wanted to live on a lake. I can see that in my mind's eye. And it will come. It will come. That I know. I know it will come. So I want to thank you for following the Spiritual Artist Podcast these last few years. It has been so exciting. I'm looking forward to, I have some really great podcast interviews lined up. I want you to like this channel if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're listening to it on a player or Spotify, please share this with your friends. Share to us a friend that you think needs to shore up their belief, that maybe they're having trouble right now and they're challenging. Can I leave this job? Will something come in and fill this place? Because by the way, if you're waiting for something to come in before you step out, it might never happen. Sometimes you just have to step out first. You have to have belief first, and it will come. So share this with your friends. Looking forward to seeing you in 2024. Thanks again for listening to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. And I wish you belief for the new year. Talk to you soon. Hey, spiritual artists, I want to thank you for listening to my podcast. and supporting me this year. It has been a great year. I just want to remind you of two things. First, I have a book called The Spiritual Artist, and it is on Amazon. It's the perfect gift for an artist in your life. It's a great stocking stuffer, something you can take on an airplane as a gift. So I encourage you to buy the book and share it. And second, I wanted to let you know that I'm planning my second spiritual artist retreat in North Dallas. It's a great experience. I just got done with one about 4 weeks ago. About 12 people getting together, sharing spiritual ideas and artwork. I can't think of a better combination. So check it out. It's listed on my website, spiritualartisttoday.com. You can read about it. You can download a brochure that talks about what you get for the price and how much fun it is. Thanks again. I look forward to sharing all these wonderful tips and tricks with you in 2024. Can you believe it? Have a great holiday and talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks again for listening to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. Whether you're watching this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or iHeartRadio, make sure you choose the subscribe button so that you will receive updates when new segments are released. Most importantly, be still, listen, and know that you are a spiritual artist.